Hello everyone. So today what we're going to talk about is setting up a headless WordPress installation. So basically what that means is that instead of viewing the front end of a WordPress website from a WordPress theme like you're seeing on my screen, we are using a completely separate front end. So we don't even use the theme itself. All we use from the WordPress installation is the backend administration section. So effectively what happens is we set up a redirect so that when someone browses to the front end of the WordPress website, it redirects to the front end. So I've created this front end website. It's a basic static HTML and PHP site. So the idea is that I will be pulling data from the WordPress administration backend via API, and then that will populate my pages. So I've got different screens here with different custom post types. So that's another thing I'm going to be talking about, is how to do it with a custom post type if you want to pull data that's not a standard generic post, for example, or a standard WordPress page. Okay. So just looking at the reasons for, or the benefits for setting up a headless WordPress site. This is an example that you can be more than welcome to look at. It's kinster.com, and they've got a little article about headless WordPress and setting up a headless WordPress site. So this article is specific to setting it up with a Vue.js front end. But that doesn't matter. All we're interested really in here is setting up the WordPress site itself so that it can be interfaced and used as an administration backend. So if you scroll down on this page, you'll see there's pros and cons. I'm not really looking at the cons in that, but just the benefits. We'll go through them one by one quickly. So super fast performance. I mean, that is one of the biggest benefits. Is that when you generally, if you're using a WordPress site, out the box, your page speed scores probably will be between 60 and 70%. I've seen them as bad as like 20 or 30% in terms of page load. And this is the reason for this, is that when you when you're using a WordPress site, and you obviously the front end is managed by a WordPress theme that loads a whole lot of bulk. So it slows it down tremendously, and I think obviously WordPress has its benefits, and one of the benefits is that you can get a site up and running really quickly. For people who don't necessarily have dev skills, they can go into the back end, create a page and a post with a visual editor, and then conversely they can also set up their front end theme very easily with page builders. Everything is drag and drop, so there's no code required, and this is great if you are using WordPress and you're not familiar with development and coding. Then it works very well. In fact, I, as a web developer, specialized in WordPress for the first half of my career, I think 5 years or so. And then as I got more comfortable with custom development, PHP, JavaScript, and the relative frameworks, I find it actually easier and better for me and more efficient to do things the coding way rather than working with page builders. So when you are working with a WordPress as a backend, as a headless WordPress, because your front end is completely separate from, it's not contained in the WordPress theme, you have full control over what you're using on the front end. And one of those things means that you're not carrying all of that bulk that WordPress will generally carry in a theme. So this kind of links to the next point, granular control. This means you've got full control over the front end. You're not hamstringed by plugins and backend restrictions and theme restrictions and page builders and all that kind of thing. You can code everything exactly the way you want it using whatever front end framework you want. You can use the client can be a mobile app, it can be an Angular front end, it can be a Vue.js, it can be React, it can just be plain PHP. Whatever you use, as long as it can consume a REST API, you can use it. So increased scalability. As soon as you start working with WordPress on a complex application, a complex project, then you'll get to a point where you can still make things work, but things feel very hacky. So at the end of it, so what happens in the code in the back end, you'll find this bird's nest of code that's mixed in with the compatible WordPress code, and it just becomes a big mess. The other benefit is that when you decentralize, so when you separate these components, then things get much easier to manage. So you can work on and improve and upgrade separate components of this whole decentralized system instead of having to dig into the WordPress core every time. So then the next one, tighter security. I know one of the big things with WordPress, one of the big concerns, especially for working on bigger projects for bigger companies, is the security aspect. So I mean, I'm not a cybersecurity specialist, but already you're removing the direct access to the database from the front end. So the front end that you're showing to the public and to the world is just, that's all it is, just consuming the data via API. It doesn't have a direct access to the WordPress database or any of the files on the WordPress server. So you can really tighten up the security on that WordPress site and then just access everything over API. And lightweight design, I mean, that links to exactly what I was saying with super fast performance and granular control. You can have a really light PHP, HTML front end or JavaScript single page application, and which will load a lot quicker and be a lot lighter than everything that you've got bundled up in WordPress. So multi-channel content publishing, this is one of the most exciting aspects for me. This means that you can use one single WordPress administration backend, one database, to supply content to multiple platforms. So you can use the same WordPress backend for a front-end website and a mobile app, another marketing platform, etc., 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 all pulling from that same WordPress backend, which means that you only manage content in one place. So yeah, really great. Cons, there's no cons, so don't worry about that. I think, you know, if you're interested, just have a look in here. I mean, obviously there are cons, I mean, it does say that, but just have a look and see, you know, if this does apply to you. I mean, if you've got the dev expertise or dev resources, then this is definitely something at least to explore. Okay, so yeah, so that's basically the overview of a WordPress, headless WordPress, using WordPress as a backend. And now I'm just going to go in and do a high level overview of setting up a WordPress application using this. Okay, so what I've done is I have created done a WordPress installation on a subdomain, admin.multigridafrica.co.za. This is a client's project that I've been working on, and this is just currently a standard WordPress installation. So the first thing that we do is we want to set up a redirect. So whenever someone comes to this URL, we don't ever want to see anyone to see this theme, you know, the WordPress front-end theme, because we're using our own custom front-end. So what should happen is that when they land on this, then it should redirect to our custom front-end, which is then pulling the data via the API. Okay, so in order to do that, we just log into the dashboard, and we'll have already installed it, but it's the simple website redirect plugin. I'm sure any redirect plugin will work, but this is just the one that was recommended on the specific article here. So plugins, as I said, I've already installed it, and here it is, and it's active. So we get to settings, and what we want to do is put in a redirect URL. So the redirect URL is going to be the location and the address of my front-end application, and that is this one here. It's multigridafrica.com. So just to repeat myself, this application is just a custom PHP and HTML website. So I'm going to copy that and paste that in for my redirect URL, and leave it as a permanent redirect. Redirect status, let's enable that. Show advanced settings. So we still want, when it redirects, we still want to be able to access the back end of our WordPress site so that we can manage the content. Obviously, that's the whole point. So we want to exclude from the redirects everything relating to the backend section, and we want to exclude the API endpoints base URL. So it's given us examples here, and you can actually just copy those and paste them in. Separate with commas. I'm just going to check here. They do have a recommendation of all URLs to bypass. So let me just find that section quickly. Alright, cool. WP admin, WP login, and then WP JSON. WP JSON is the base URL for our API. Okay, so let's just paste that in. Okay, that's good. Alright, so we can, that's basically all the settings that you need, and we can save that. And then now when we go to the front end of this WordPress installation, the front end will automatically bypass the theme and it will redirect to our front end. So if I go to visit site, there it redirects to this front end application. Currently this application is still using hard-coded content, so what I'm busy doing is converting the hard-coded content to receive the data dynamically from the WordPress API. Okay. Now, what I was mentioning before about custom post types is that I'm not just pulling post or page content. I've actually got custom post types that I need to pull through. So an example is the technical application. So each of these post types, each of these posts, if we can call these custom posts, consists of a video, which is an MP4. It's got a title and it's got a content area. So I want to create a custom post type for this, and it will be based on a post in terms of a standard WordPress post in terms of capability. So a WordPress post does come with a title and it does come with a body. The only thing that it doesn't come with is a video field. Okay, so we've got 4 of these technical applications that I will then load in the WordPress backend. Okay, but first we have to create the custom post type. So in order to do that, I have installed a plugin called CPT UI, actually 2 plugins to make this work. Custom post type UI. So the custom post type UI provides an interface for creating custom post types, and then the other one is the standard free version of advanced custom fields, ACF. This enables you to attach multiple different kinds of fields to posts or any post type. So you can link them to a normal post, a page, and you're, in this case, linking to custom post types. So very first step, and what I did is to create the custom post type. So I'm just going to go, you would do it from here, add new post type, but I'm just going to go in here because I've done it already. So the post type that I've created is technical applications. That's the only one I've got. So you've got a slug at the top, is applications, and your plural label, this is for the menu on the side, and singular also menu on the side. And then you've got a whole lot of these specifications for the menus, labeling. So you used to have to do this all manually, but I see they've got a really nice little link here saying populate missing labels based on chosen labels. I recommend this as a bit of a shortcut. So it will basically take your singular label and your plural label and populate all of these, so that when you using it on the menu, then it will make sense in English. Okay, and then all the way down to the bottom, and just checking on these settings, is you generally leave everything as it is, but just for interest's sake, showing REST API. So this should be true because you want to have it available on the WordPress WP REST API in order to consume it. And this is the slug. So for the REST API, so what this is what we are very interested in this, because we're going to use that in terms of the endpoint URL in order to get this data. Leave the REST API controller class as it is. If you put in a custom controller class here, then you will have to do some extra custom work. So I think it's just best to go through the standard. Namespace, you can leave it the same as well. Okay. Yeah, I just put menu position 5, which means that it's right at the top underneath posts. And you can add a menu icon. Yeah, so what I do want this to support is the title, the editor, and custom fields, because I'm adding a custom field, which is that video file. Okay, so you just save that post type. Great, and then your post type is created. So then what we need to do also is to create a custom fields for that post type. So what I've already done is create a field group called technical applications, because I'm linking it to the technical applications post type. And at the top here, you just load all your custom fields that you want in this group, and then the group can be attached to a post type using the rules over here. Okay, so you can add as many fields as you want, but the only one that I needed was this animation video, those videos at the top of each one, and I've labeled it and given it a field name, and it is a type of file, so it's a file upload and required, and you can just go through and yeah, I mean, look at the settings, see what works for you. It's pretty self-explanatory. Great, so once you've added all your fields that you need to attach, then you go and specify where this field group will be displayed. So there's quite a lot of options here for the conditional logic, but for me, for this case, what I want to do is show it based on the post type that is displaying. So post type is equal to technical application. So whenever you're in the editor for technical application post type, which are managed here, then these fields will show. Great, and yeah, so then just go through, I mean, just do whatever makes sense for you in terms of the settings and your specific use case, and then always remember just to update to make sure to permanent your changes. Then so we've created the framework for this custom post type, so then the only thing you do is to go into the post type, my technical applications, and I've added one here already. So when you create this a new technical application, which is a type of post, we put in the standard title and we use the content area for the body, and then we've got our custom field here, which is the animation video. So this is a file upload, just to show you can edit that. Oops. Yeah, anyway, so that's a file upload that you can attach to this custom post type instance here, and then make sure to update. Now, onto the API. Alright, so in order to access the data from this WordPress installation, we use the API endpoint here. So this one is technical applications, in order to pull all the technical applications that the one that I've shown you, the road support. So you can see it's here, and that's specifically for technical applications. We could also do posts, and this will return all the basic posts. So you can see that's just got the defaults hello world post that comes standard with a new WordPress installation. And then what else? Pages. I wonder if it will work with pages. And it does work with pages. So you can access anything in your WordPress sites over this application. And then this is not now a front-end coding session, but yeah, just to repeat, so then I can use this API, and this is the next step that in this project that I'm busy working on. is to pull data from this API and to populate it in my front-end WordPress application. So yeah, I hope that was interesting and informative and entertaining, and see you again tomorrow. Cheers.